I know that some people are definitely concerned about how governments can compel services like Tuta to compel you to hand over user data or like track users. And I think that already loses context of I think the wide appeal of these services, which is not to be used for illegal activities. And if you're not doing those illegal activities, then you're still getting all the benefits without the concern. But I know there was like the German court case that people do talk about, and I guess are you able to talk about what happened there and also the protections in place you have to prevent that going forward as an organization and to reassure that your users are safe when they still use you?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, the Cologne court case, it's been a while ago, but the issue was that the court ordered us to hand out emails um, from a certain person coming in and out. And we said we appealed this court case because we said we can't hand out the data because it's encrypted. And then they said, yeah, then you need to decrypt it to hand it out. And we said, yeah, but we can't do this because it's encrypted. And then they said that we had to hand out all future emails because those were coming in and out unencrypted if the other person was not using Tutor. And we tried to appeal against that as well, but it didn't work. So then we had to hand out the emails, the future emails that were coming on into this for this criminal investigation, to hand out those emails. And we weren't happy with the decision. We really tried to push against it because we want to fight for privacy, and we don't just accept court orders if we think they are pushing too far. But still, to us, it shows why we need end-to-end encryption. And that's the main point. That's what everybody needs to keep in mind. If you really want to have your data confidential, you have to encrypt it end-to-end. Even if you use Tutor, you have to do this extra step. And if the other person doesn't have Tutor, password encrypt the email. Because then we couldn't hand it out. And even the court couldn't have forced us to do anything because we don't have the keys. We can't decrypt this data.
That's an important detail that I didn't know. So the user was not using end-to-end encryption.
No. Well, I don't even know what the user was using or if there were any emails handed out, but it was just what they asked for. This was the process.
Right.
Um,
Right, and I think it's really interesting because on my end, people see that as a loss when I see it as a total win. I think it demonstrates that yes, this service not only like sure, I think it's great to see that a service that you're putting your faith in is fighting and appealing these kind of court cases. But more importantly, given the context of how these things work on a technical level, there's no other option you have. The only other option you have is to shut down. And if an email provider shuts down, just because they got a court order, that doesn't really help anybody. And so there has to be some kind of middle ground. And it doesn't just impact Tuta because there are other privacy oriented email providers that have had very similar court cases and the same exact thing happened. And so I think it's kind of a balancing act that I see between, I mean, there's two takes that I have on this, which is first, I think that it's still a massive amount of protection for pretty much everybody. I would argue there's some user error as well in a lot of these court cases that I've seen. And then the second thing is it's a massive spectrum. Like if we're comparing Gmail to this kind of situation, Gmail actually publishes the amount of court cases they comply with, or Google does. And you can see how almost on a daily basis this happens in something like Gmail. So even in the super rare, unfortunate, weird event where you're this one person targeted over the course of a 5-year period by an isolated government, probably because you're doing something wrong, you're still no worse off than you were using Gmail. But yeah, I don't know. I think
yeah.
the community is a little weird about the whole situation, I feel. But
Yeah, and the other thing is that also I think one reason why this was so in the news, so to say, was because it happened in Germany, and because in Germany the privacy advocates, they really like to fight, and so this made the news because there were so many people on our side saying, "Hey, we have to make this public. Hey, this is not right. What the court is ordering here." But still, I mean, we operate in a legal room with really good privacy protection rights. So Germany is one of the parts in the world to have your data kept securely. We also always need a court order, a valid court order, and we always check if it's valid or not. You can also see this on our transparency report. So lots of court orders we do not comply with because we don't have to. And that's also important, an important step that not every company takes. And then because of this privacy scene in Germany, things where it doesn't go in the direction of privacy make much bigger news, whereas in countries where people just don't care about privacy, this just happens. It still happens, but no one's talking about it. And it's good that it makes the news and that the awareness is there, because that's what we need to push in the right direction, also in politics.
Yeah. Very cool stuff. Thank you for opening up about it. I know it's probably not an easy thing to talk about because, I don't know, it's just a very touchy subject, and I feel like it's not something that the community... I feel like I would argue the community has made it a touchy subject, and it shouldn't be one, because I think that we need to be realistic about how far privacy and security services can take us, and also the technical limitations, as well as, yeah, like you said, you are a company, and you still have to obviously comply with regulation, and you are in one of the best places in the world for that. So I guess it's much appreciated. I much appreciated how everything was dealt with, and the transparency that you had behind it, and how you came forward right away with the situation, and it gave me a lot more faith in Tuta. And that applies to Tuta, and it also applies to other email providers that have had to deal with the same thing. I think right now, like, there are really cool services that are really standing up for people's data in their email, which is really impressive. So thanks for watching this Techlore clip. This is actually a clipped version of a full-length video that talks about this topic a lot more thoroughly. So if you want to check out a lot more digital rights content, check out the main Techlore channel, and we'll see you over there.